See this with the vet fam? This is where we're at today. I believe in Sasquatch. Today's episode, we are going to be tackling the adopt, don't shop scenario slash are we paying too much for designer breeds? And also with a little caveat of should people feel guilty for wanting a specific breed of dog? Full transparency, I have paid for every dog besides Alley Dog. She's my first little mongrel of a thing. Before that, I had, a Mastiff that I did at the time, even though I was 16, did my due diligence on looking for a very good breeder. I picked him out when he was 3 days old. I met the mom and dad. I knew the whole history of the whole line. But also, swing back around to the black lab that I had was a Petland puppy. Mind you, I was 12 at the time, and that was many moons ago. And she was a very expensive black lab and ironically did live to be 15 and a half. So I think I got her right up at the cusp of true puppy mill dogs. And that scenario is my personal belief. But I have thoughts and opinions on like doodles and cavapoos and pumpskis. I know Amber has some views on more designer breeds and the adoption side.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're just gonna dive on in.
Yeah, I have some thought opinions.
I think that AKC registry is here for a reason when it comes to breeds of dogs. And there is a reason designer breeds are not a part of it. I have seen some nice labradoodles, but I've seen some very unpredictable ones that, spoiler alert, shed because they say it's for hypoallergenic reasons, so on and so forth. But they come with, in my personal opinion, from what I've seen in the veterinary side of things, mind you, I've only worked primarily specialty care. So, obviously the ones that are coming are the sick ones, and they come with a slew of issues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying normal breeds like bulldogs and things like that don't as well, but I think if you're paying $3,000 to $5,000 for a dog that you can't actually go to Westminster.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get some hate for that because there are some good designer breeds out there that have been bred specifically for a purpose, but I feel like it has gotten way out of hand.
Yeah.
I think they're just saying these two look good together, let's try it. And then put a price tag on it. Are they cute as puppies? I'm not gonna lie, yes. Some of them are just downright adorable.
Yeah.
But I'm not spending $3,000 to $5,000 on a non-AKC registered dog.
Yeah. Yeah. And two, like I have my opinions on that situation as well. Like, I coming from shelter med, having to see the things and do the things that obviously shelter med requires of you, and seeing as many animals that don't have homes, that don't have family, and these people, they're like, oh my God, why would you purchase a dog when there's so many in the shelters that don't have homes? Well, there are people that want specific breeds for specific things. I remember, growing up, my grandparents had Rottweilers and they would have them imported from Germany. You know what I mean? Like, purchase them because they served a particular purpose. They wanted a particular breed of dog.
Yeah, that's what my brother does. He imports his dogs from Germany.
Yeah, so that's what they wanted. And then you have these people who want family dogs, who want, specifically they want a Labrador because that's something, that the breed that they're attracted to, or their traits, or they're looking for something in particular to be, certain dogs to be family dogs, like a Cane Corso. A Cane Corso is not a family dog. That's a dog that serves a specific purpose, right? Even Rotties. Some Rotties are not family dogs. Ours, some of them were, and some of them were a little shady, but we needed them to be a little shady, if I'm making sense here, because we had restaurants and, rental properties and things like that they were responsible to protect. But essentially, like, there's specific breeds. Like me, I'm a pity person through and through. Have I ever paid for a pit bull? Once in my life. I paid $100 for her. Well, my best split it. She was from a hood breeder, little Jade. Like, she was like, we wanted a pit bull. We were living together at the time. We were, just out of high school. We went in 50-50 and we bought her, but we got her spayed. We got her vaccinated. Like, we were responsible, pit bull parents, but that's what we wanted, and I don't fault people for that. There's so many that tell you you're a horrible person because you shop and you didn't adopt. Well, if you're looking for something specific, that's your right to do that. If you need something that's more of a family dog, or you want a hunting dog, or, you want some, a dog to do agility with, and not all the time are you going to find them in shelters. Now, are there breed
Correct.
specific rescues you can adopt from? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of people want to raise their dogs with their kids, with their family, or they want to raise them for a puppy because they have a specific purpose for them or something to that effect. So if you're purchasing, a dog for a specific reason, you should not be shamed for that,
No,
So,
and I've been shamed before by people that I work with because I'm like, well, I don't know if I will go through like a shelter necessarily again for my next dog, whenever that's going to be. Like there are breeds that I really like, and what my path that I'm setting forward with myself, what is going to fit that the best. And that's not always a dog with unknown behavior
Mhm.
in a shelter environment. That being said, would I look at the shelters first? Absolutely. But, like, am looking for like a specific set of qualities in the next dog that I have, and like in my mind, because I know the dog breeds, like any vet techs will say that they know the dog breeds because one of the classes that you take is solely on dog breeds, their characteristics, their problems, the whole 9 yards. And like in my mind, I'm already like, okay, I'm already pivoting towards this route or this route. Would I look for a rescue in that side first? I would look, but if they have something older-ish, I want to start in the younger side, whether that be a puppy, a one, maybe 1.5. But after that, I don't know if I want something older than that because, in my opinion, they're kind of then set in certain ways and they've had certain things be affected in that lifestyle that they've been in the shelter, in a rescue. How much information are you actually going to get? And it's the whole thing on my side of that, and like I've been reamed about that. You shouldn't be paying, you should be doing this, it's my money. So like on that is a little hypocritical when we're saying don't spend $3,000 to $5,000 on a mixed breed dog when I will in turn spend X amount of money on what I term purebred on an AKC registered. But what I want for my purpose isn't necessarily going to fit in a dog that's in a shelter.
Right.
And I
Right.
know that doesn't all that's coming out as a little harsh, but like I got super lucky with Allie that, the first year though, because you met her later in her life, the first year I wasn't convinced that she was the dog for me. Uh, as you can imagine, she was a little much. She has all the terrier breeds in her, and I've only experienced the Mastiff side of things and the Labrador side of things that actually wanted to please. She doesn't always want to please.
What can you do for me, bitch, dog? Here for
And
emotionally. What can you do for me?
pretty much like, so like the first year I had to decide, and like obviously I would have found her another home that would have fit her as Alley Dog. But, that bitch stuck with me now. But she's 10, she ain't going nowhere. But again, she still fits my lifestyle now, even though she's older. And we've now gone through major moves, huge living adjustments, and she bebops around, and not all dogs can.
No. She adjusts, dude. She adapts, adjusts, excels through everything you put. Like I say, you put her through, but she has to.
I did. I put her through. She didn't really have a say in all of this, and I'm looking at her again, and I'm like, I know you're older. Do you have more in ya? You know what I mean? Like, do you have this big move, this big lifestyle change that I'm prepping to make happen? And I already know the answer is going to be yes, because that's her. If this was, one of my brother's dogs, he has Malinois. He has a Malinois and a Shepherd. Absolutely not. They wouldn't be. You know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't adjust to my lifestyle. And then so kind of got a little off kilter on it, but it's it's like I'm trying to find it I'm trying to do it as like the most responsible pet owner that I can,
Yeah.
and not just saying, "Ooh, pretty, I want that one," without doing my due diligence of research behind it because I can't help it.
Yeah.
I want to know, I like knowing what the mom and dad issues are, both mentally and physically. I like to know what late past generations have died from. You know, like I want to know kind of what I'm getting into. And if you go to a responsible breeder, they're going to have that all laid out for you.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like I kind of, you do take a gamble with the rescue side of things, and you take a huge gamble with the designer breeds because instead of having X and Y, you have X and X.0 and X.2 also
Yeah.
mixing in because you can't pick and choose what side of the breed you're gonna get. Yahtzee.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a luck of the draw, you know what I mean? And me being again, a shelter-minded person and all
Hmm.
about the shelters, every pet should have a home, but not every home should have a pet kind of a situation. Again, I understand. And as I'm getting older, there are qualities that I in my next dog. There's
Hmm.
certain breed attributes and things that I'm looking for that I may or may not necessarily find in a shelter. And if I have to go to, and I like the word that you used earlier, responsible breeder,
Hmm.
responsible, not your
Responsible.
backyard. Let's make, this is not my puppy dog. This is a paycheck. And you just cranking out litter after litter after litter after litter. These are for responsible breeders who are in it to preserve the breed, the standard of the breed, what they were meant to be, you
Yes.
know. And when you're buying
And
from,
you're paying a pretty penny for that, and I understand that. But if I'm going to pay a pretty penny of my hard-earned money, I want to give my money to someone who's doing it the right way, not to somebody who's literally just making it for a couple of bucks. And you can tell the difference in those puppies if you put a Maltese from a backyard breeder slash puppy mill and a Maltese from a reputable breeder. They are different. They're completely different. Their body structure is different. I've personally seen two of them put up side by side.
yeah,
And and if they're not letting you tour the facility or tour where they've been whelped or look at the other puppies or look at the mom or look at the dad, red flag. Red
red flag,
flag.
stay long. I'll meet you in the parking lot. We can there. No, no, that's not a drug deal. I'm buying a puppy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I totally agree with you. And I've seen the backyard breeder situations to where they are literally trying to make a buck. And then I've seen responsible breeders who have absolutely beautiful animals. They've had their dogs STD tested. They've had OFA rads done, and their,
Yes.
parents are treated like royalty. Those puppies are very well taken care of before they leave. Even some of them are like semi, sit, stay, give you your paw before they walk out the door, and they have screenings and they have contracts and they have things like that. And then you see these backyard breeders who are sending out genetic messes. Even your
Hmm.
puppy mills. Don't even get me started on puppy mills, dude, because the things that these the parent dogs go through
It's
to where they're kept
terrible.
in the dark. They don't get to play with toys. They don't get to see what the grass is like. Like that shit
Mhm.
right there, my language, pisses me the fuck off. And those people really need to have their necks ranked. I'm sorry. Like, I swear to
Yeah.
God, like, I can't. And the people who purchase from puppy stores, girl, you're gonna get me on a rant. Joyce, why are you doing this to me on a Sunday? You
Well,
know
because
how
like let's talk about like you mentioned like hip rads, right? Allie Dog has horrible hip dysplasia. And she had it right out of the gate, right? And so she was actually spayed by a board certified surgeon. And there was a reason for it because they cauterized her hip joints. And the reason they did that, and it's not a big thing, but they did that to stop the progression. And I say that now because she has had to start, she's having more issues now, but it took 10 years to get there, and she's a very active dog. She doesn't stop. Like today we played ball for 30 minutes, and like she may have stopped 3 times to like lay in the shade for 5 seconds, and then she had to play some more. And she's 10, like she's getting up there in the geriatric range, but like when she goes downstairs, she lifts one of her legs up and goes one of her back legs up because of her hips. Like, and she's a mutt. She came out of the gate with horrible hip dysplasia, but I was able to at the time provide preventative care to help me in the future. Those poor puppy mill dogs, the percentage is high that they will not get that. Is my long caveat again.
no.
Because like and I mean if people who say, oh, puppy mills aren't that bad, and they're not that commonplace. They're more common than you think. You can pull up a TikTok video right now of something that was done yesterday in your neck of the woods. You know, I follow a couple of people that work with shelter dogs, and one of them, and then like, and it breaks my heart when they look at him because like they'll hear people say, "Oh, what a good dog, what a good dog," but they don't say it to that dog. And it was a puppy mill mom, and he was like, "You're a good girl, you're a good girl," and because she was like sitting like this because she didn't know what else to do, and like she just looked at him and was like, I cried like a little baby girl. I cried like a little baby girl, and he gave her a squeaky toy. And again, she didn't know what it was, but she knew that she wanted it and she didn't know what to do with it. But her tail wagged probably for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah.
And like, and it's things like that that people just don't want to think about because it's hard, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to see that type of situation, but you are paying for it. And so, like, the big thing is, how do you know you're buying from a puppy mill breeder? Things that I said.
Honestly, when you're purchasing a puppy from a puppy store or some shit like that, look at the health certificate. If the health certificate, granted, there are puppy mills everywhere, okay? But the state of Missouri and Kansas are infiltrated with absolutely horrid puppy mills. Those are the puppy mills that these guys are coming from that don't know what grass is, what toys are, what affection is like, that are not socialized, things like that. And these are the ones that are creating these designer breeds. All of your poo, your eons, and your shit like that. Like, I'm not calling the animals shit like that, but like these names of these animals that they're just putting together for funsies. Oh my God, let's see what we get, and put a $3,500. I've even sent $10,000 price tags.
I've seen 10,000.
Are you doing? And not only when you're breeding these dogs and you're just putting these breeds together, genetically, what problems are you breeding into them? Not only for the owner to incur as an expenditure, but what you're putting these animals through congenitally with orthopedic issues, cardiac issues, elongated soft palates, stenotic nares. Like, what are you doing to make a buck?
Cavaliers, you know, let's take Cavaliers as an example. King Charles Cavaliers. They are one of my top. They were probably number one or number two dog breeds that I would love to own, but I never would because they have been overbred, and now they're taking those overbred dogs and putting them with other breeds. And I've seen them have to be euthanized at 2-3 years old because of their congenital issues. You know, with Cavaliers, they're going to have heart disease of some variety. They're going to have glaucoma of some variety. And you'll be lucky if they can get through life breathing normally as well, because they're brachycephalic, and depending on the breeder you go to, how shorter and longer ones. But you take that genetic mess, and I'm saying this with like absolute love because the breed is just phenomenal. Like, they are just the happiest dogs in the whole entire world. Nothing could break their spirit. You know what I mean? And then to see what we humans have done by overbreeding it and giving it the price tag that it has, and then mixing it with another genetic to double the price, because that other breed has also been overbred and comes with predisposed issues. You know, luxating patella is 3rd grade by the time it's 6 months old. It needs patella surgery. You know, I think if you're going to be a breeder, you need to be ethical and not so monetary, but because it doesn't cost money to put 2 breeds together. They're literally just putting a pen and they go at it, and then that's it.
And
they pay a stud fee.
And I hate the way that I think, because I think about this from a lot of different perspectives, right? A lot of your dog breeds came from 2 different dog breeds to create that one breed, right? Your bulldog, your English bulldogs, or you know, some of your older world animals like dogs, like 2 different breeds were essentially bred to make that particular breed. So people will be like, oh my God, you can't really say that because of this, that, and the other. But this day and age, the breeds that they are throwing together and the messes that they are creating are mind-blowing. And the things that we are seeing, I can't fathom.
We're gonna get new diseases because of this, of some variety, whether it be an orthopedic version, a cardiac version, a liver version, optic version. Like, a new thing's gonna be created if it has.
Yep.
Because like there's just no way.
Yeah.
A
So
negative and a negative doesn't always equal a positive. Like you're not getting, you can't pick and choose what characteristics you like of the two breeds to go together. You're literally hoping for a wish and a prayer that you're going
yeah.
to get, and you don't know right out of the bat. It's years down the road that you figure out.
Yeah, or like too, if these animals are being bred and they're being sold off as puppies, and it may be two breeds you've never bred before. What kind of shit are you breeding? You got your shunt dogs, and then you've got some that have I can't even like my mind is going 900 miles an hour right now with some of the stuff that I've seen just in the last few years,
Hmm.
and that are still selling to people, or they're selling to puppy stores that are still selling to people with these massive issues. Now, you do have some puppy stores, and I'm not going to jump to their defense, but I'm going to give credit where credit is due, that actually stand behind the animals that they're selling, and they provide warranties for congenital defects or issues that they're
Yeah.
having and things like that.
Yeah, there's a couple that will do that, and my hat's off to them when they actually do that. Because we do see, like in the Cavapoos and anything Maltese related, liver shunts,
Yep.
multi-vessel liver shunts. And you're lucky if they can be managed with surgery and medications, but that's not always the case.
For a Merle double glass-eyed pug
That shouldn't, that sh
who's has like the peripheral vision of I don't even know, like his eyes, he could see everything around him. It's like a fishbowl. It's just his eyes just. But this dog had a shunt,
yeah.
you know. And the puppy store, like they paid for all the diagnostics to be done and this, that, and the other, and provided him with a good home, and like they did their due diligence. But some don't. They'll just drop. You'll pay $3,500 to $10,000 for a dog. They'll drop it in your lap with all these medical issues. And again, who is responsible when they purchase a $3,500 dog? It's very rare that happens. That they have the money to vaccinate, put on heartworm prevention, treat for Parkinson's if it gets it, kennel cough or whatever. In reality, these people who are buying these dogs cannot afford any kind of extensive care, any kind of surgeries, any diagnostics, anything like that. But again, you don't know if you're going to get that even with a shelter dog or a rescue or something to that effect.
You don't. And like in the terms of the shelters, I give my hats off to people that work with the dogs on their free time because it's
Mhm.
such a needed thing just to take them out and like take them for walks, take them out on outings so they get exposure. One of my friends recently adopted a pit bull from a shelter, and while they were looking at other dogs, they were like, "Oh yeah, you can take this dog on a play date," and it wasn't the one that they got, but they didn't say like, "Hey, FYI, this dog is super dog aggressive," and they were walking in a park just to see how they got along, and a dog walked in front of him. The dog lost his mind, and luckily he could handle it physically, like restrain the dog. But if it was his wife, the dog would have mauled the other dog. You know what I mean? And so like he was able to be like, yeah, that dog's not for me. But it's hard when you don't know going into a shelter if you know specifically what you're looking for. If you just want a dog for the family and you don't care
Yeah.
necessarily what caveat they're going to fill into, I think that's my word for this episode is caveat.
I'm seeing that.
Squirrel fits a certain role that they want besides just a
Right.
family dog. Many breeds and many mixed breeds can fill that role as just a family dog. And I say hats off to like go to the shelter and go to a rescue, to the honestly go to the really small ones that actually do due diligence of actually finding really good homes too.
There's
Like
place. Yep.
you could
Medicine too.
Google that in 2 seconds and have someone have like 10 options to go to and online with pictures and things like that. Because I know we were going on some different kind of rant on here.
Yeah. And two, like, we're not just saying, and Joyce, I'm not speaking for you, but I'm kind of speaking for us, you know what I mean? We're not
Okay.
saying if you purchase a dog, it's going to be a genetic mess versus getting a dog from the shelter, like the designer breeds. That's where I'm at. You could go
Yeah.
into a shelter, adopt a dog, a purebred Shih Tzu or a mixed breed, what we call a Florida dog. You know what I mean? It's like a Heinz
Florida brand
57.
dog. Florida brand
Exactly.
dog.
Exactly. Even getting these guys from shelters, you don't know genetically, like where they came from, what you're getting into, kind of issues they have, because shelters are very limited in their medical screening process. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
look alert, responsive. They're getting vaccines. They're getting heartworm tested. They're getting heartworm prevention. They're being put on the floor. They're not getting full panel blood
Yes.
work. full
That's it.
body X. I mean, we've had some that had come in with, I had a little Shih Tzu one time. This little dog had a freaking bladder stone. I kid you not. It was like this big. And the only reason we found it is because I was expressing her bladder during surgery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Into
Yeah.
the abdomen of animals before that were riddled with cancer. Like you don't know either way what you're getting. And, the more that I think about it and the longer that I've been out of shelter med, like, you're not wrong for
Mm-mm.
wanting a specific breed and purchasing a dog. But for grandma, excuse my language because I know you watch this. For fuck's sake, do it responsibly.
Hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandma. Yeah, I mean, Allie has a weird immune issue. She actually has ear tip vasculitis that could turn into other things, and like it's just, she has some issues that we go through, and she can only be on a specific thing of dog food. I'm not saying that like if I didn't go out and buy just a normal bred dog, I'm going to use a Labrador as an example, that dog wouldn't have these issues that she does. It's just, she came within the first couple of years, all of these issues came out one after another, right? She was at least at 3, she was diagnosed, I think, with ear tip vasculitis. And she had to be put under and get, like, she used to love her ears messed with, and now if you touch her ears, she thinks she's going to get them, like, holes taken out because we had to send samples out to get it confirmed and everything. But, like, it is more of a risk to get them from a shelter or a rescue because you don't know, but it's also more of a risk to get the designer breeds.
Yes.
And you have a higher price tag than knowing if I get a lab, they come automatically with X, Y, and Z.
Yep. And these are the risks that are associated.
Mm-hmm. And so, my next breed, I'm looking more for like a cattle dog type thing, like small but spicy, Velcro-y, like more of a Velcro type dog. And for people that don't know what that means, they're just like really like focused on their person.
Exactly.
Allie would trade me in for a milk bone. I'm telling you that right now. She loves me. She would trade me in for a milk bone. I want a dog that would hesitate. I like this one, but like let me get a nibble type deal. But and I would though look at breed specific rescues if they had one younger and they knew like the background. But like I personally am a person that will pay for a dog because I want to know what the mom and dad had, what the grandsires had, what did those hips look like on all the lines, and what were, like, say you're going for a show line dog. I'm going on a rant a little bit. Say you're going for a show line dog that sells pet level dogs. Okay, so what made this one pet level compared to the rest? And also, what did this X, Y, and Z? Because they know the whole lines back from the get-go of like 100 years ago. And I personally, as, just me being me, I like to know that in my rant of things. I am a pro, like, go, adopt, don't shop. I am a pro of people doing that, but also on slightly hypocritical side, I will pay money for a dog.
Yeah. And see, that's where you and I differ. Like I'm a rescue through and through. Like I could not see, and it's an experience thing. It's the things that I've experienced, the things that I've seen these animals go through to where I am a rescue at heart. I always will be. Like there's a specific breed. Listen, this is hard for me to admit because I am a pit bull person through and through. Okay. But I want a specific breed for my next dog. I want a Brussels Griffon. Okay.
Oh my God, I love them so much.
Ask me why, but I want the ugliest little fucker I can find. I want him to have one eye, 3 legs, tight mouth. Like I want him to look ragged AF because those that speak to my heart. Little Peggy on Deadpool, she would be my bestest friend. Like I'm attracted to it. You know what I mean? Like those speak to me. A purebred lab or a labradoodle or a cavachon, those don't speak to me. I like the I'm not gonna say broken because they're not all broken, but I like the misfits, dude. I like the underdogs. I want the ugly, bashed up, 3-legged, because they have the most love to give, bro. That's what I'm looking for. The most to give and the best companionship you'll ever find.
Yeah. And I just want to point out to the people that are listening, you have 2 people on different sides actually able to have a conversation.
Yep. And support each other in that conversation.
And oh by golly, if the world could learn. But like, and when we were talking about like, shouldn't we talk about this? Knowing we had differing views on this, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Because again, we can have conversations of differing views. Like, and guess what? We don't think differently.
No. You know,
No,
that's
and
what
she'll be one of the first people that whenever the day comes that I do get another dog, I'm gonna be like, look at it.
you do to get it, my guy.
And it's not happening anytime soon because, I
I'm
think
gonna look back the premises.
Allie Dog would be like, the fuck?
Yeah.
She's like, I thought I wasn't training another dog.
No, she's in her only dog right now. Let her do her thing.
Yeah, yeah, she's enjoying life right now, being an only dog again, without Rascals being, well,
Yeah.
Rascal was Rascals, so he needed a lot of things in his life. But that's another topic for another day.
So,
But yeah, thank you guys for listening to our rant of it. It was a little bit of a sprinkle of everything. It was designer breed, shelter, dogs, puppy mills. We can definitely go more in depth of the puppy mill scenario if you guys want, because Amber's seen a lot of the stuff that went down on that side.
it's heartbreaking. It's truly heartbreaking that these animals are treated as a potential for a paycheck, and the way that they are kept, the way that they live, the things that they don't get experienced. Like, they are a life. They have people tell you you're crazy for humanizing them. Listen, if you've ever really paid attention to a dog, you know that they have thoughts, feelings, opinions. They are problem solvers. They are problem creators. They articulate, they mastermind some shit. You know what I mean? So they have a more depth of feeling and understanding than science and humans give them credit for.
Yeah.
If you're gonna purchase a dog, do your research on the breed, one, where they're coming from, two, and try, if you can, again, responsibly, and not create a demand that continues to create a supply within the world of puppy mills. If I said that,
Yeah.
if I articulated that correctly. Like,
No, I
don't
feel you
be
did.
a problem, like,
Yeah.
to shy away from something like that. Go to a reputable, respectable breeder that has, talk to people that have used them and things like that. Just be smart about it. I'm not saying these animals don't deserve homes, because they
Correct.
do, 100%. But if you continue to create a demand, they're going to continue to create a supply, and there's still going to be mistreated congenital messes of animals and I don't want to say that with a rock hard heart, but when you're breeding these things and these congenital messes occur, that's the animal that suffers. I don't care about your bank. I don't care how much money you have to put into this dog. These animals suffer.
Yeah.
So we need to make a point to stop creating the demand that creates the supply. That's all I got. Rant over. But on another,
I was gonna say, I was like, and we have one more thing. Go, Amber.
today is the start of National Vet Tech Week. So for all of you out there, whether you are a CVT, RVT, LVT, an OJT technician, happy freaking Vet Week, bro. Vet Tech Week. You guys are fantastic,
Yes.
amazing. The DVMs could not, regardless of what they say, do their jobs without you. So own that shit. Like I said, be safe, make good choices. You're killing it. You're doing amazing. You're looking good while you do it. And remember that this week is for you. So if your practice doesn't celebrate, you better take your ass out and celebrate yourself. Because Joyce and
You
I are
should do that anyways. Yeah. And also, if you work for a place that doesn't celebrate you, there's another one that will.
Yes, there we go. I'm not gonna nothing, but my team and I and our POs, we went on a booze cruise today. I had the best time with my staff, man. To get to know them, to watch the bonding, like, it was fantastic. So go be somewhere you're appreciated, dude. I'm done, Joyce. I'm sorry.
Happy Vet Tech Week, guys.